Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good people of the internet. Yeah, here I am in the morning. It's the I can't believe I'm even speaking at this point, but yet here I am. How's everybody doing this morning? My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL, but not very often anymore. This is Painfully Honest Tech in the morning. Painfully Honest Tech in the morning, and what are we gonna do today? Hey, we got people in here. We got A. Figueroa, 1131. Khalil Mizra. Khalil is here. Trenton Marshall. I think I know who he is. Um, and let's see. Mario. Khalil is just like rocking the chat right now. Daniel Ocean. Yeah, not Nidal, I think is how. Whoa, everybody's jumping in. Good morning to everyone. Today, what are we going to talk about this morning? Let's go full screen so you can. I got new lighting, and I decided to light myself from below. I don't know if it's working out for me. How's everybody doing this morning? Yeah, it's 6:50 a.m. here in the Central Time in the United States of America. Is that where we are? Yeah, 2:50 p.m. in Estonia. Yeah. Good morning, Peacock Inside Tech. Good to see you. Jeremy Baker. Good to see you. Christian Federico. I always want to put that extra R in there. Good morning. Good morning. Today is I guess a somewhat well, it's an exciting week, isn't it? It is iPhone week, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting. Um, and so we got news today. So I of course don't have an iPhone yet, but it's clear that other people do, because there were reviews. iPhone reviews are out today, um, and that's great, great, great. Um, so I like to look here at Flipboard in the morning to talk about what it is that maybe I'm interested in. So wait, good morning from Iowa. Who's from Iowa? Where'd that go? Where'd that go? Ah, Nerdicon 18. I'm in Iowa. Why are you awake this early? I'm awake this early because I had to take my daughter to cheerleading. Mm. And instead of going back to sleep and feeling like crap when I woke up later on in the day, good morning from Nigeria. Oh, good morning to you. What time is it in Nigeria right now? Note 10 rules. What are the Note 10 rules? Quad Cities. Oh, Quad Cities in the house. Yeah, I'm only an hour away from the Quad Cities. I used to teach in the Quad Cities. Yeah, good times. Man, Nidal, I'm not supposed to talk about the headphone jack anymore. People get so angry. People get so angry. Oh, got to go to school. I see. I see. Good morning, Rahul from London. Good morning to you. 12:52 p.m. over there in Nigeria. Well, awesome. Awesome. Is that yeah, okay. That makes sense. 2 p.m. in Germany. Over in the UK, it's probably about 1 or 2 p.m., right? You guys are in the same time frame, right? GNT something or other. Mm. Got my coffee. Ready to go. Ready to go. Uh, let's talk about this. Look, I'm small, and the news is big. The big news today. Let's talk about the big news today. Anthony, listening while coding, man, I can barely chew gum and do anything on the internet. Uh, so yeah, here we are. Let me get the chat, everything really set up here. Uh, well, the big news this morning. I mean, I'm just kind of looking through here. We've got Apple iPhone reviews. Everybody's got their review out today. Everybody's rocking out with their review out. Um, of course, not me, because I'm still like one of those, you know, plebeian YouTubers that doesn't get the iPhone yet. I don't get the iPhone. I liked it when nobody got the iPhone and you got to review it all at the same time. Uh, are we talking about the 5-watt charger in the iPhone 11 for 2020? Well, I think that'll be the iPhone 12. I don't know if there'll be a 5-watt charger or not. I mean, I see what people are saying when they complain about the the low charging. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's not the hill I'm going to die on this morning or any other morning for that matter. We got people from Lagos, Dubai. Man, the international crowd is in the house. This is awesome. You're buying a Blackmagic camera instead of an iPhone 11 there? Mister, do you want me to call you Trenton now, or are you still TechRant? Um, those Blackmagic cameras are pretty sweet. I haven't seen the 6K one, but I have looked at the Pocket Cinema 4K, and it's a giant thing. It's a giant thing. It's very wide. So yeah, everybody's got their iPhone 11 reviews out. Uh, we've got Wired here. There was who had a wrap up? Anyway, okay, so everybody's got their iPhone. So 9 to 5 Mac had a wrap up of everybody who got their their iPhone reviews out this morning. And so we've got, of course, the one and only Marquez Brownlee, Mr. MKBHD, is rocking his rocking. You see how I did that? Is rocking his iPhone 11 review. So that's in your sub boxes this morning, as well as as well as, let's see, who else do we got? Wired's got theirs. Wired says, in my experience, it took 23 hours to drain the battery of the iPhone XS Max from 94% to 50%, 57%. 23 hours to drain like 40, not even 40, 37%. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Man, I've said that the battery is going to be a thing. The battery is going to be a thing, and it looks like that's true. It looks like that's true. Wall Street Journal's Joanna Stern also reports positive battery life. She's using the iPhone 11, as well as it looks like she's using all three. So these battery things. So she had 15% by 11:30 p.m. on the 11. She had 10% on the Pro and 20% on the Pro Max. So I'd have to read her article to know what she is using in terms of a battery test day. But that's pretty cool. Yeah, Tech King Mike, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, my friend. Early stream. We're going to talk about whatever happens to be in the news today. So I got this roundup from 9 to 5 Mac of everybody's reviews that are out and available at this point. Thank you, 9 to 5 Mac, for doing all this work so that I don't have to. I'm giving you credit so that it doesn't seem like I'm taking credit for your work. Yeah, Mediocre Tech, good morning. Brian Harkin, good morning. Michael Smith in England. What part of England are you in, Michael Smith? Zach is in the house. Yeah. Amy Hogan, Jimmy Long. Yeah, good morning to everyone. I figured I'd get on here, like, for some reason I wake up really early in the morning. I take my daughter to cheerleading, and I feel I feel like, yay, the day has started. It's not even light out yet. And by noon I feel like crap. So I figured I'd just get the good part on tape, as it were. Yeah. How many good souls do we have? 108 good souls in the live stream right now. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. We've got TechCrunch with a little bit of the night mode. Working on the night mode. All right, why are you not seeing this? So, let me see. Let me see. I gotta get you guys so you can see this thing that I'm trying to show you. Yeah. So, good morning, Jim Wallace, also known as, AKA, alias Mr. Graphic. Only a single graphic, Jim, or more than one graphic? It's important to know. Okay, so I'm trying to screen grab this guy. All right, so let's try and screen grab this guy. Stop screen share, start screen share, uh, screen 2, Chrome tab, and there we go. Okay, so here's what we got. All kinds of iPhone stuff. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to take a nap, Zach, so that I can be ready for the podcast that's still gonna happen tonight. Still gonna podcast tonight. But you know, I figured I'd get on here. So all reports seem to be positive about the iPhone so far. Now, I haven't watched anybody's videos. I haven't read anybody's articles other than what's quoted here. We've got a TechCrunch has a little bit of a night mode, night mode show off here. Looks pretty good. Again, like I'm not going to know if the night mode is any good. Nobody's going to know if the night mode is any good until we get the night mode in our hands. Scott Souter, thank you for the compliment on the videos yesterday. Um, did I miss a super chat? Oh, Zach, you super chatted. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out: is it more effective to look at at the chat as it goes through StreamYard, or is it more effective to have the chat that comes from YouTube? Because that shows me everybody's pretty hats, if they're members, and if you want to be a member, then there's a little button down below where you can click and become a member for as little as $4.99 per month, and you get all kinds of great, painfully honest tech stuff. Actually, I'm still like, we have, I think 13 members right now, so we need to get some more members going before we can really get critical mass and get things rolling. So if you want to be a part of the painfully honest tech community, then membership is the way to do it. Down there in the join button. Yeah. So night mode looks pretty good here with the iPhone. Let's see. Dance performance. I don't. That's okay. Okay, here we go. The Verge is going there. iPhone 11 Pro review. Best camera on a phone. That's what I was thinking. Is it possible that the iPhone 11 could be the best phone on a camera this year? And I guess, according to The Verge, yeah. And then here, I think this is still TechCrunch, maybe. Uh, USA Today, in anecdotal testing, improved Face ID with an assist from iOS 13, Apple's facial recognition authentication system. Face ID is faster and works from a wider angle. I was able to get past the lock screen with my mug, even when the phone lay on a table. Thank you for the correct usage of lay. I appreciate that. Or when I approach the screen from a bit of a distance, not quite face on. So that's what I've been looking for. That's what I'm looking for in terms of the Face ID. I don't want to have to, do all kinds of crazy stuff to do the Face ID. So we've got that's big news number one, I guess. And then big news number two. Let's see, what else do we got in the big news? Oh man, this okay. So I'm learning things about this picture in picture. I've got to select each. I've got to select each screen that I want to show individually, which is kind of a pain in the rear end. But that is how it is. That is how it is. I got to do what the people say. Where is that? Burp, 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 burp. So, okay, let's look at this. The morning after from Engadget also is talking about the iPhone reviews. And they're also talking about Seinfeld is moving to Netflix in 2021. But it won't have that like random Seinfeld episode generator, I guess, that Hulu has. I haven't watched Seinfeld in many years. So, you know. So, what else are we talking about here? What questions do you guys have? Let's just see what that's all about. So you've been using the iPad OS exemplar. I've been using iPad OS or iPhone OS. iOS, is that what it's called? Yeah, it's still early in the morning. I've been using iOS 13 on this, my main iPhone 10s, for I don't know, a month maybe. I can't even remember when I put it on there. Um, and it has been pretty good. There have been a few things that have been weird about it that I could potentially uh, say had something to do with the beta in this of the phone or of the operating system, but um, at the same time, it's been very smooth. I've been very impressed. Did anybody who's using iOS 13 beta, have you gone out to get your arcade? The arcade is available for some of us now. I downloaded it. Where did it go? Where did it go? I don't know. I downloaded arcade. I saw that our buddy Viper was playing some arcade last night. I will have to. Bolts Bear Josh says that arcade is a lot of fun. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing in the news stories. That's what I'm hearing from other people who are trying it out. Um, Matthew Rollins, thank you for the $5 super chat. You trust The Verge and their opinions about as much as you would trust them with the how to build a PC video. I mean, I still think I still think that that video had to have been some kind of amazing like meta troll. They couldn't have been serious with that. Am I right? Am I right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, a few years ago, last year, no, not a few years ago, last year, The Verge put out a how to build a PC video. It was produced and hosted by like there were 13 people on the entire list of who produced this thing. It was like the how to not build a PC step by step. It was awful. It was terrible. It really. I just watched a bunch of reaction videos and it was just really awful. Uh, is it still up? Is it still up? Let's see. Let's see. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a total disaster. It was embarrassingly disastrous, and I don't know what their problem was, but um, it's just in the App Store, so I have to play arcade within the App Store. Is that what you're saying there, Josh? Okay, arcade. Oh, I see. Yeah. Sayonara Wild Hearts. I'm gonna try. How you guys like this new lighting scheme where I'm lit from the bottom? They took it down. Let's let me download this thing. I don't know. Oh, they took the video down. Good, good. Yeah, I was real proud of them when they decided to copyright strike. So like Bitwit Kyle and I think somebody else. Yeah, Rich from Review Tech USA for saying what needed to be said about that video. So it's a tab in the App Store. Yeah, okay, I got it. I got it. So we got brand new. We got brand new arcade that we can try. I'm not a mobile gamer. I haven't played too many games on my mobile phone, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to be into this. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling through these different these different stories this morning. I figure if I'm going to do this, yes, Bitwit Lyle. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a funny character, and I guess he can do it because, but I could see how people might think it's insensitive. Uh, um, the tech backlash is real and it's accelerating. What does that mean? Cover stories. Here. Okay, so here we've got a story from The Verge. The tech backlash is real and it's accelerating. Uh, is there tech backlash in this country? Yeah, well, why not? There's a backlash about everything in this country, isn't there? Backlash about everything. Jim Wallace, I am in Iowa, the great state of Iowa. That's where I'm hanging. That's where I'm hanging these days. I've been here for 15 years, so I can't really say these days. No, arcade is not just for your phone, but I guess this early access is only for the phone, Matthew Rollins, only for the phone. So, yeah, okay. Now I can play this game. All right, arcade. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not, when do I think we'll get picture in picture for YouTube on or split view on? No, I don't think we're gonna get it. to tell you the truth, my friend. I think that Apple's just not going to do it because meh, meh. I haven't tried Ecamm. I haven't heard of Ecamm. StreamYard is brand new to me. So yeah, I haven't. But StreamYard is really pretty amazing. I mean, it's $25 a month if you pay monthly, and $240 a month if you pay for the year. But you know, it's a brand new service. I don't know if I want to pay for the year, so I'm paying $25 a month. What about E? What was it called? Where'd your comment go? Ecamm. Does that cost money? Okay, so this is doing some kind of scrolling. Anyway, moved away from Apple completely. MacBook Pro needed replacing. Looked at 15. Yeah, they are overpriced. I've heard good things about the ThinkPad Carbon. For me, I needed the dedicated graphics card, and a lot of I think there are some ThinkPad models that have a dedicated graphics card, but not all of them. So dedicated graphics is a big deal for me. I had very spotty luck using the dedicated graphics on like gaming PC laptops and that sort of thing. Like, so I love Premiere Pro, but I would have problems where Premiere Pro wouldn't use the dedicated graphics even though I wanted it to and I told it to and all that kind of stuff, and there were driver problems and blah blah blah. It became very frustrating, and as much as I am as much as I really like those PC gaming laptops, the Razer Blade was amazing. It just was more troublesome than I wanted it to be. So there you go. That's that. I'm back in the Mac world, unfortunately. Or fortunately. I mean, I like this stuff. There are things that frustrate me about Apple, of course, and you guys are probably well know. Well, you probably know well. It is only 7:11 in the morning, so you're gonna have to forgive me. I didn't eat breakfast yet either. I do have coffee. I should have brought a bigger cup though. Um, Ecamm has more features than StreamYard. That's cool. Damien, you're right. It's not that complicated. I could switch back and forth. I could use either PC or Mac. In fact, I have a desktop PC right over here that I built myself. It's got a GTX or an RTX 2080. It's got the i9, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Um, and I could switch over to that. It's most definitely more powerful than my MacBook, but the MacBook is allowing me to sort of work here at my desk space and then jump up and go into the house so I can spend time with my family. uh, all that kind of stuff. So it's good. Max Goodman has a question for Apple users. Let me check this out. Can you back up photos automatically to Google Photos like on an Android, or does it have to be Apple? And down here, Mark Champagne, or Champagne, or pronouncing it completely wrong. Sorry. Uh, Here's the thing about Google Photos and on any device, and maybe you guys can help me out. I've always found, now I haven't really dug into it and got into the settings or any of that kind of stuff, but I've always found that with Google Photos, you have to actually open the app to get stuff to back up. I'm sure that's not like the only way that it'll do it, but that's the only way it's worked by default for me. So maybe you guys can tell me. I mean, Apple with iCloud does definitely auto backup everything. So you can use iCloud and not have to worry about going into the app to get things to auto backup. But at the same time, uh, there are frustrating things about about, about iCloud. Um, yeah, so that's why I keep saying a 64 gigabyte phone is not that is not that big a deal for the majority of people. The majority of people, especially if they're using the automatic iCloud backups, and there are so many different ways that Apple helps people out to like offload stuff from their computer. They offload apps that you haven't used very often, that kind of thing. They do a very good job of managing the storage. The problem that I ran into when I so my 10s Max or 10s, it's not a God, I can't speak. This is what happens when you do a live stream at 7 in the morning. Um, what happened with my 10s here is a 64 gig is that I had the podcast app somehow set to download every podcast that I've ever wanted to use or ever wanted to check out, and so I had 20 gigabytes of podcasts on on here. Once I got rid of those, things were a little bit better, but I'm still like at 55% usage here, and that's more than I would like. But then again, I mean, I'm a heavy user, and if you're a regular person, then then you might not have that same kind of problem. Need to disable battery optimization to get the Google Photos to automatically upload. Okay, well that's a downside, I guess. Uh, Adahero, or is it Adahero says he likes the Note 10 Plus. I still have my Note 10 Plus. I put in I had said I was going to return it. I went to Samsung. I said I was going to return it, and I have until the 18th, which is tomorrow, to return it. And I haven't decided if I'm going to. I'm using the 10s right now, and I have this as kind of like the phone that I'm just, fooling around with and watching videos and reading books and stuff like that. But I'm trying to decide, should I keep this? Should I keep this? Quick poll down in the comments. Let me know. Should I keep the 10 or should I keep the Note 10 Plus? I like it quite a bit, and I feel like it would be great to have if I was going to be comparing, say, new iPhones with, flagship Android phones. I got a pretty good deal with it on it. As long as I send this in, then I can. Oh, I turned on the light. Hello, good morning, people. Good morning. As long as I send in the 10R that I said that I would, then I got it for $500. So, oh, so Jeremy Baker says it's not. So if you're looking at Google Photos, it's not battery optimization for the whole thing. It's within the Photos app. Okay, I got you. LeBaron Burton in the house, doing his thing. Exemplar. Hey, I'm with you, man. No jack, send it back. I like the idea of not just sticking it to the man by saying I'm not going to keep your phone if there's no headphone jack. Yeah, but at the same time, I'll end up without a phone, right? So people get mad at me still for talking about the headphone jack all the time, and I like it. Max, yes, you're right. The Note doesn't fit into my ecosystem. It doesn't. However, like, of all Android phones, besides the V series, which I like for way different reasons, besides the V series, I have liked the Note series from the very beginning. It doesn't fit into my ecosystem. You are absolutely correct. However, I still enjoy having it, and this is the first time in my life as a YouTuber where I could theoretically keep this phone and use it and compare and also use it to compare against other phones that are coming out. So that's what I'm thinking, but I've only got like 12 hours to consider it. Column says wouldn't keep the Samsung phone. He's had problems with Samsung phones after 3 months. The Note is its own ecosystem, says Sea Lions Man 67. You are correct. You are correct. LeBaron says it's good to get stuck into an ecosystem. Yeah, I totally agree. On some levels, like I'm trying to work on my whole like wanting to buy and do new things all the time, and so, and so I'm trying to accept in my heart the fact that I am of the Apple ecosystem for my daily stuff. Like I still want to be objective to a certain point with how I talk about other technology. Of course, that's what I have to do because I'm doing this tech YouTube thing. However, yeah, I'm trying to just become more okay. Like part of what happens for me is I'll be using something for a while and it'll be going well, and then I'll be like, I wonder what it's like if I try and do this over here. And now I've done that like a million times, and I know the answer. I know if I try and let's say I were to try and move away from Apple and go back to PC again, um, I know what problems I would encounter. Could I work my way through the problems? Yeah, I could. However, um, do I want to go through all that because it makes my work more difficult, etc., etc. So anyway, I'm sniffly. I'm talking the snot out of my head. Um, you know, I've tried to build a Hackintosh, and I've built many PCs over the past 5 or so years. And the thing is, I I've built a Hackintosh to the point where it was functioning correctly, but the functioning correctly part of it only lasted for a very short time. Um, and I just don't want to have to do like that's the problem I have with PCs. Is it seems like there's a lot more sort of uh, upkeep and troubleshooting and that kind of thing with PCs, and Hackintosh seems to be a very similar thing, but there's no real support system for it other than like other people who do Hackintoshing and the forums that are out there for Hackintosh. So I I actually like decided not to do the Hackintosh thing and decided to pay the money for the real live Apple stuff because it would be much more reliable in the long run. Oh, LeBaron says no. I'm not saying to. It's not good to be stuck. You like the way I move in between. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do too. Until it makes me like, everybody accuses me of being bipolar. I don't even know if that's what you're supposed to call that disorder anymore. But, uh, you know. But I like them both for different reasons. I like them both for different reasons. Genosis, you are not in an alternate universe. I am live early in the morning doing this thing. Trying to keep up with the chat, trying to talk about this morning's news. The big news this morning is that the iPhone reviews are out. So if you on your YouTube feed, in your tech news blog feed stuff, you'll see a lot of iPhone 11, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max reviews in your feed, which, as I said, ticks me off because I'm not going to be able to do my review until Friday, and that's not even going to be a review because I will have just gotten the phone. Hard out here in these YouTube streets to keep up with the Joneses. Um, yes, I don't think bipolar is now called emotionally undecided. That's a joke. You're joking. I know you're joking. Um, Jesman Games went with the HyperX Cloud. Been following since back in the headset days. I have an Astro A50 2019 review finished, the Gen 4. I have it finished. I haven't found a spot to release it yet. Um, so, but it's coming. It's coming. Being in the Apple ecosystem is like driving a stock Camry. Oh, that's those aren't harsh words. Those are like bland, boring words. But I get what you're saying. Safe and reliable always get you there. Android is like having a Project Hot Rod, not as reliable, but it has your personality. I mean, you're right. You're right. The iOS ecosystem, the Apple ecosystem is very safe. And once you sort of get everything working the way that it should be, then it works, right? And there's a certain amount of comfort there. I think if I were buying a car for, let's say, if I were buying a car for an average person, if an average person came up to me and said, "Hey, what car should I buy? I need it to be reliable. I need it to last for a long time. I need to make sure that it gets me somewhere. I mean, I need to make sure that that I would tell them to buy a Toyota. Toyotas are Toyotas are for many years the best, most reliable cars in that realm. Are they exciting? Hell no. No, they aren't exciting at all. No, they aren't exciting at all. But they do get you from point A to point B, and they do it for a long, long time. Yeah, Roberto, I'm gonna be doing the 24-hour, the 7-day, the 30-day, the whole deal. Of course, I gotta milk this iPhone thing because although the iPhone thing is really like treating me bad this year, I mean, in terms of like subs and everything like that, iPhone is like everybody's like, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you gotta have a little bit of a cleansing. It's like exfoliation of the sub count. That's what I'm gonna call it. Exfoliation of the sub count. I talk about iPhones, and I exfoliate all the people who don't want to hear me talk about iPhones. Then I'll talk about Android phones again, and I'll exfoliate all the people who don't want to hear me talk about Android phones. Yay, YouTube. That's the way it goes. Um, so you can. So Sazu says it's interesting that you can still pre-order the 11 and 11 Pro. That is interesting because in some places I read that it was sold out. In other places, like you say, you can still get it. Um, I imagine the stores on Friday morning will have plenty. I've gone to the store. I've gone to the Verizon store every morning of the iPhone release since the iPhone 6, I believe. And the 6 and the 7, there were people in line. Not many people, but people. From the 6, the 6S, the 7, people in line. But starting with the 8, which is also the 10, um, there was nobody in line. Like I remember when I went to get the iPhone 8 Plus, I wanted a space gray 256 gigabyte. I walked in and they're just like, "Oh yeah," and it was shocking to me because I'd never been able to just walk in and get the phone that I wanted without waiting in line. So thank you, Roberto, for the kind words. Yeah, I'm not down. I'm not down so much as like, you know, it's just interesting to watch this YouTube thing in all of its mystery. Let's say. Um, let's see. Uh, so Genosis, I imagine you're saying the Midnight Green, right? I did. I ordered a Midnight Green Pro. I wanted to get a Pro Max in the Midnight Green. However, see, this is something that I'm a little frustrated about, and maybe you guys have experienced this too. So they said they have a trade-in program, right? And when Samsung has a trade-in program, they give you the value of the trade-in when you order the phone. So when you go to check out, um, you actually get the discount price from your trade-in taken away from the price that you're paying. When I went to do the Apple order, uh, you still have to pay the full price, and then they give you the money back. And I guess in Canada, and Zach was looking in. I guess in Canada, you not only you get the money back in an Apple Store gift card. Okay, so that to me is lame. That to me is lame. I had enough money in my account to buy what I wanted to buy, thinking that I was going to get the discount, and then I couldn't get the discount, so I got the Pro, 64 gigabytes in the Midnight Green. But I think on Friday morning I'm going to go to the Verizon store. I'm going to try and get a Pro Max 256 in the Midnight Green, because the Midnight Green is so sexy, so sexy. Let's see what else. Roberta's going to be rocking the Note 10 Plus video coming out. I I'm gonna, even though part of me is like, it's pointless to compare a Note, like an Android phone, to an iPhone in so many ways. I will do a Note 10 versus iPhone 11 Pro Max, whatever, if people want me to do that. I will definitely do it, but it's a little bit of a, I mean, it's not a fair comparison. This phone is meant for different, it's got a whole different philosophy behind it. The iPhone has its own philosophy, right? Do it, says Scott. Do it. What else do we got in the news this morning? Um, yeah. What's new and different? CNET always on top of things. CNET is covering what's new and different about the iPhone versus the 10R, 10s, 10s Max. Yeah, I think we covered that last week. CNET. Thank you. Um, SBTVTM says, I'm a huge power user of the iPhone 10. I do everything from heavy gaming, picture taking, video editing, media streaming. Should I upgrade or wait until next year? Well, if you can believe the reviews that are out there, I've just been able to sort of scan the reviews so far this morning. They're confirming what I hoped was going to be the case, that the camera is very hella good. Some people are saying the best camera on a smartphone right now. Again, we'll have to wait until it's in. I'll have to wait until it's in my hand and I use it to see if I agree with that. But if you do a lot of streaming, if you do a lot of media, video editing, that kind of thing, I mean, maybe it is worth considering picking one up if it's within your means to do so. The 10 is going to still be completely fine. The 10 is still, in terms of speed, in terms of everything else, the 10 is going to do you just fine. You're not. It's going to be an incremental upgrade in terms of hardware. It's going to be, some new features, some new camera lenses, some new stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you'll be fine either way. It's just a matter of whether or not your gear acquisition syndrome is acute enough to make you want to go out and put down the money or the monthly payment or whatever it is. Oh, exemplar, yes. Rest in peace, Rico Kasich. If you're not really old enough to remember or appreciate the Cars were they were such a fantastic band. They were such a fantastic band. Rico Kasich, such a fantastic singer and songwriter. I think he made his mark a little bit more in what he did as a producer. Now I'm friends with Matthew Cause, who's the singer of Nada Surf, and their first record was produced by Rico Kasich. And on his Instagram yesterday, he put a really touching story about how he first met Rico Kasich and how he was very much like a mentor to him and that sort of thing. It's really unfortunate. We've lost a lot of music people here in the last week or so, and it's kind of sad. I mean, Eddie Money. I mean, just say what you want. Eddie Money, though, yeah, I mean, he's shaking, snapping his fingers. That guy had a string of hits. You got to respect that. Um, Genosis asked, "Do you think early reviewers got the iPhones before, at, or after the keynote?" I assume that they left California with the phones. That's what I assume, and they've been under embargo until today to not talk about them. Not a Surf's Not a Surf's record. If you want to hear a great like early 2000s rock record, like one of the best rock records of that period, Not a Surf's Let Go is such an amazing record. And it came years after their big hit. As Gamesky said, they had that hit with Popular, but they are a band in their own right, writing some really good songs. They're still rocking today. It's good to see. It's good to see. So yeah, Roberto confirms they got the phones early and they got to make their reviews as over the past several weeks or several days. Um, yeah, Scott, I agree. The Cars, one of the most underrated bands ever. There are a lot of bands that came up in the '80s that I think if they came up in any different time period, they would have been a lot more. they would have aged a lot better. You know, like I think about Hall and Oates. If Hall and Oates had not come up in the '80s and had sort of that '80s sound all over their stuff, they might have been more considered a really influential R&B group, which is what they really were. They were an R&B group instead of like throwaway pop songs. Which, if you go back and listen to Hall and Oates, they're not exactly throwaway pop songs, but it's you know the '80s. The '80s made a lot of good songs sound bad by comparison in this day and age. Pierre Gent is saying that he's still rocking the iPhone 8 Plus. I'm to the point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. So if yeah, why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Absolutely. If the phone is working for you and you don't want to spend the money, then don't get a new phone. Um, that's that's not good for business when it comes to me. But at the same time, when it comes to all of us people who like to talk about the new phones, but if you've got a phone that's working for you and you don't feel like you need to buy something new and you don't feel like you need to upgrade and you can control yourself, which is always a problem for me. I can't control myself, then don't get a new phone. Any phone from the last like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years is going to be functionally as good as any phone that you could go out and buy this year. It won't have all the same features, it won't be improved in certain ways, but functionally, from day to day, phone is going to be just as good. I like talking about new phones too. I don't know if you noticed that, but I do. I do. What else are we talking about? Yeah, yeah. Mikesh says that he gets phone FOMO this time of year, and it's always a problem. I do too. Even when I wasn't doing this, even when you were locked down to a 2-year contract with phones, um, and I know that's probably still the same way in other parts of the world, but in the United States now it's like you can pay off the phone and get a new phone, or get a new line and get a new phone. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Don't do what I do. Use me as a cautionary tale. But yeah, the FOMO when it comes to new phones has always been a problem for me. Like I just can't resist, but I must. Well, now I can't. I can't because it's what I do. The iPhone 6s is still working for Jim. Jim Wallace is still rocking the iPhone 6s. You've got your headphone jack. You've got your iOS 13 coming. I think it's actually being released on Thursday, officially. iPhone or iOS 13. So yeah. Excuse me. I got a little tickle in my throat this morning. Hope I'm not getting a cold. Um, See, GameSki, that's the whole thing. GameSki's ready to go get the new iPhone, and you are not an iPhone person. Yeah, that's what they do, man. That's what they do. They get you. It's a marketing genius. Um, OnePlus 7T Pro. I haven't looked at it too much. I mean, I think it's pretty well established that I wasn't super impressed with the OnePlus 7 Pro. So I'm anxious to see what the OnePlus 7T Pro brings to the table, but I haven't had a chance to really dig into it. I know that there was some information come out about that yesterday. Oh, Charles Xavier. Is that really your name? Is that really your name, Charles Xavier? Um, if it is, great. I love it. Let's talk about the new Galaxy Fold. What do you think? Well, I guess I have to like eat my hat now. I have to do some mea culpas. I have to say that I did not think, nor did I think it should come out. I did not think the Galaxy Fold would come out this year. I did not think that they should put it out this year. But I've watched a couple of videos of people who have it now, Dave Lee, Marquez, and it seems like they figured out the problems that existed. Whether or not that means it's going to be a good phone and it's going to last forever and all that kind of stuff remains to be seen. However, they have released it, and it looks so. I've never said this before. I have never said this before, but the new Galaxy Folds look so much better with D brand skins on them. than they do all by themselves. Like Marquez has a like some kind of crazy pattern D brand skin on his, and Dave 2D has a I think just a matte black one. And yeah, they both look really good with the D brand skins on. I'm not a big fan of like the way they look otherwise. Technically T, good morning, my friend. Good morning. Um, So Deadly Whisper 321 asks, if you were not reviewing phones for a living, would you still feel the need to upgrade every year? I personally like getting a new phone yearly, even though I may not need it. Yeah, I think it's like a chicken or the egg thing. I think that I was doing that anyway, and I was interested in tech and just kind of looking for conversations about it, and that's kind of how I fell into this. Uh, so I think even if I weren't doing this for a living, I would still be getting a new phone every year, if not more than one new phone, which is is um, not prudent, let's say. But um, it's not prudent. But I mean, everybody's got to have a hobby, right? So I guess buying expensive phones when I don't need them is a hobby. Um, So LeBaron asks, do you think you bailed on the OnePlus 7 Pro too early for it to grow on you? Maybe, maybe. I don't know. I've had OnePlus phones in the past, and they always felt like most of a phone, but not entirely. And a lot of people love Oxygen OS, but I don't. I wasn't a big fan of Oxygen OS. It was just a little janky from a design standpoint for me. And now that's me like with a graphic design background, looking at that stuff and being like, but other people love it. It doesn't really jump out at me. Um, so I guess I may have jumped off it too soon, LeBaron, and maybe I'll get a 7T and stick with it for longer to see if I change my mind. But OnePlus has always been like I liked OnePlus when they were undercutting everybody else and still putting out good phones. But now that they're sort of competing, I don't know. I don't know that that's. I don't know that they have actually like. You gotta have all the same features, and I was not happy that they didn't have wireless charging because no matter what anybody says, wireless charging has become sort of. It's become standard. That's what I mean. I've got a wireless charger here on my desk. I've got one on my nightstand. I've got one, on my other desk. And I just drop stuff on the wireless charger. So plugging in is annoying. So I think that OnePlus. Somebody tell me because I haven't looked. Does the 7T Pro have wireless charging, or are they still holding out? I don't know. Raul Gonzalez is a hobbit. Is, is that a statement or a question? There's a question mark there. Suraj K asks, why is it so many tech YouTubers still use iPhone along with Android phone for better, just for better quality on social media? Question mark. Doesn't Samsung and Google have full quality on social media? Not always. Not always. I mean, the iPhone apps are often better or differently optimized and easier to use. Although Android has made leaps and bounds toward doing it, there are a lot of iOS apps that just don't have Android versions as well. I mean, the dirty secret out there, the dirty secret, and there are exceptions to this, but I know from my experience, like being at events and that sort of thing, like I'd say that probably 75 to 80% of all tech YouTubers use iPhones as their main phone. Now, they might carry an Android phone and use that as an ancillary device. Like I know Michael Fisher, Mr. Mobile, carries a Pixel exclusively to take exclusively to take photos. He's not an Android. He's not an iPhone person. He carries Android phones, but there are a lot of people who use iPhones more than maybe you would initially believe that they would. Um, no wireless charging on the OnePlus 7. Is that the new one, the 7T Pro? Um, the dirty secret. It is the dirty secret. I kind of want to do I kind of want to do a little bit of a. I want to do an expose. See if I can figure out how many people are actually using the iPhone as their quote unquote daily driver. And and have an interesting conversation with the tech YouTubers of the world. Maybe that'll be good. Maybe that's something I should do. Um, so Genosis asked, putting iOS 13 features aside, like dark mode, do you like the new design? I, I've been using it for long enough now that I can't really say that it seems all that different to me. The dark mode, though, immediately after I put dark mode on, I was like, I'm never going back. Never going back. Never going back. But that was the case. That was one of the reasons I really like to use Android phones in the first place was because dark mode was a thing. Um, my old eyeballs don't like to be burned out of my skull by brightness. So, um, apps that rule is in here repping the Niminati. Awesome, awesome. I love me some Nimins. Love me some Nimins. iOS is cleaner. Well, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. Um, Apple has kept control over what could and would go on their phones vis-a-vis the carriers that carry the phones more so than Android phones have been able to. Android phones have gotten better over the years when it comes to carrier bloat, but there's still like if you get an Android Verizon phone, there's still a folder full of Verizon crapware that you don't really want or need on your phone. And it used to be with Android phones, the more stuff you had on there that didn't matter, the less effective the phone really was in terms of daily use. So that's why people were rooting the phones and getting rid of all this stuff. And you know, that's not as much of a deal these days as it was back in the day. Um, so so for Fawaz says Unbox Therapy did an expose on tech YouTubers and their phones. Most popular tech YouTubers carry an iPhone and a Pixel combo. I don't find that to be hard to believe. Although I wonder if that's going to change as I wonder if that's going to change if Pixel is still going to be like the 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 go-to camera phone. We'll have to see. I'm sure that Google is going to come up with some great stuff. I have to be honest and say I have not diligently kept up with the the Pixel 4 news other than to look at it and say it looks like the other phones that are coming out this year, but that's a theme, I guess, for 2019. Everything looks the same. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Pixel fares. I mean, if these early reviews of the iPhone are to be believed, and the new iPhone cameras are the new bee's knees, the industry standard, the bloody blah blah blah, then we have some interesting discussions to have between now and October when the Pixel comes out, going through into the end of the year. Uh, Roberto says for influencers, the camera drives everything regardless of any other features or experience. I think that's true for a lot of people. Um, I'm still like kind of an a, I use the camera like an old person. I'm not a big I love taking pictures. I've taken some really good pictures. I don't know if you guys have seen the photos that I've been putting up on my Instagram. I was out at a dinner in a field in Iowa. There was this great old Chevy farm vehicle, and I was able to get some great photos with that with the iPhone XS. I love taking photos, but by and large, like I'm sort of a point and shoot guy when it comes to using smartphone cameras. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people, in terms of being tech influencers, the phone and the camera matters more than the phone, is what I'm saying. Uh, do a lot of having does having a lot of pics slow down your phone? Asks Dex T's Owens. Um, it can if your hard drive gets too full, and this may be apocryphal, but I've always thought this to be the case. If your hard drive, if your SSD, if whatever you want to call it, is more full than not, then it it can slow down. But I don't know if I know that's always been the case with like spinning hard drives. but in terms of SSDs and that kind of thing, I don't know if that's the case. I see that we got our man Viper, the man about tech, on fire in the chat right now. Welcome, Viper. Good morning to you. Uh, let's see. Let's see. LeBaron says you're going to find out a lot of YouTubers are false flaggers. You have iOS users that carry Android to do what they can't on iPhones, and you have Android users that carry iPhones for iMessage. Maybe that's the case. I'd like to think about it a little bit more. Uh, I'd like to put it in a little bit better light and say that we've got, especially tech YouTubers who have multitudes of phones. Maybe they carry both because they appreciate aspects of both. Uh, that's that's me trying to be more trying to be diplomatic. How's that? Does that work for you? Um, so that's me trying to be diplomatic and think about it in terms of, I guess if you can do it, why not do it? I always have, like right here I've got two iPhones and this, and my V50 is somewhere close by, and I always tell myself I'm going to carry two phones, but I don't. See, I think if I lived in a larger city and I had to be out and about and traveling more, I might carry two phones more regularly, but I usually just choose one phone and go for the day. Um, and that's kind of been my thing. But and then I get stuck. It's like, oh, if I want to switch the SIM card, I got to take the case off, and then I got to, can't find a SIM tool, all that kind of stuff. I knew I should have brought a bigger cup of coffee with me. Um, how do I? DexT asks, how do I feel about Apple putting an always-on display on the Series 5 watch and not the iPhone 11? I love it on the Series 5 watch. That's like the only reason I would buy a Series 5 watch, and I'm not going to buy one, but that would be the reason why if I were to buy one. Uh, the always-on display thing, it's there have been times that I really wanted an always-on display for the iPhone. But then I also know that like double tap gets me where I want to go. I also know that raise to wake gets me where I want to go. So it's six of one, half dozen of the other for me. I don't know that I miss always on display for the iPhone. Um, I, I have problems with how always on display works for a lot of things. Um, I like this. I like that this is here. I like that I can tap into my notifications. Um, and on the iPhone, I still like the notifications are still not as robust on the iPhone as I would want them to be, but yet at the same time, I'm somewhat overwhelmed by the amount of notifications that I natively get on Android. Like I know I can go in and I can turn a lot of stuff off and not have as many notifications show up on Android, but just out of the box, um, once you load up your phone and put your apps on there, there's so many notifications. Some of them are incredibly useful. Some of them are like, why is that there? And then you have to spend the time to get rid of them. It's not a huge deal. You long press and you say, I don't want to see this anymore. But that's just at that beginning moment. Uh, no, I haven't showered yet. I haven't gone out for my morning constitutional walk yet. I'm going to do this for another few minutes and then I'm going to get off. I'm going to drink a glass of water. I'm gonna go out to close my exercise ring. Yeah, exercise ring, and hopefully a good portion of the move ring. I've been trying to get the move ring, well, the exercise ring and the stand ring are I get done every day, pretty much, unless I forget to put the watch on, which I usually do on the weekends. The move ring is harder. Man, when I was in New York City, and I used to live in New York, and so I never realized how much I actually moved around when I lived there. But when I was in New York City, I like doubled and tripled the exercise and move rings on my Apple Watch. When I come back home here to Iowa, where if I'm going anywhere for it's like I'm in my car. and so you have to actually think about how you're going to close that move ring, and I haven't been able to get that move ring closed as often as I want. Um, Viper asks, which one am I getting? I ordered the Pro Midnight Green, 64 gigabytes, but I really want the Pro Max Midnight Green, so I might go to the store and see if I can get one on Friday morning. So the Baron says the reason I say false flaggers is because most knock Android for not being like iOS and vice versa. They think they should be judged on what they are. I think they should be judged on what they are. They will both. They will. They. They are both. But really aren't. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. That's a big thing for me this year. That's something that I want to talk about a lot as we talk about phones this year. Is that it is a false. It's a false comparison. It's a false comparison to compare an iPhone to an Android phone. Okay, you're not really gonna get anywhere comparing an iPhone to an Android phone by and large. An Android phone, like the whole philosophy behind how an Android phone works is different than the iPhone. The whole philosophy about how an iPhone works is different than an Android phone. So if you compare one to the other, then it's not really it's not really a good comparison. Now, you can compare features, but I still think that comparing cameras and compare like speed tests. I'm here to say, and this is an speed tests like, where you poke the phone, both phones at the same time, and see which one opens up at the same time. Those are like ridiculously stupid. Those are ridiculously stupid tests because in Android you can alter, once you get into developer mode, you can alter the speed of the animations in Android, and in iOS it's stuck where Apple wants it to be. So it might open faster, it might open slower. It doesn't have anything to do with the processor speed. It has everything to do with how the animations are programmed, right? So those speed tests are ridiculous. And I'm also not a huge fan of camera tests, but a lot of people like camera tests. I just think camera tests are kind of like, you're somewhat at odds with the person taking the photo and whether or not you can actually recreate a photo accurately enough to compare one version of it to another version of it, etc., etc. So Genosis, ask Viper, do you think Jason is cheating, walking into the Best Buy like he owns the place and getting the Pro Max before us? I'm not doing that. I can't do that. They won't give it to me. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? I love morning streams too. Right when I get out of bed, I always have a morning stream. Thank you, Onion Head, for setting me up on that one. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Who would you say? So Dextees asks, who would you say has better security, Android or iPhone? As in like, find my iPhone. I don't know what Android calls theirs. I, I can't speak to it in a super educated way. I think that iPhone, because it's a closed system, has a better chance at being more secure. But Android, because they give you monthly security updates and all that kind of stuff, they're a little bit more fluid, and so you're getting things on a more regular basis as long as your carrier is actually giving you those updates. Unfortunately, most carriers are somewhat slow to that, or most manufacturers and carriers are somewhat slow, and then you don't get that support past, say, 2 years. Which means that if security is a big deal for you and getting those security updates is a big deal, you're not actually going to be able to use your phone as you would want to for more than a couple of years. Which, when you're paying as much as we're paying for phones this year, is kind of a punch in the nose, if you ask me. Let's see. On Friday, Jason, when Best Buy opens at 9 a.m., you walk in and get the phone early while the rest of us are waiting for the delivery truck. I'll be waiting for the delivery truck as well, but here's what happened. When the iPhone 10 came out, I pre-ordered the iPhone 10, and then I looked at my delivery schedule, and it said it could arrive anywhere before 8 p.m. that day. And I was like, that's not going to do me any good because I want to get videos out. I want to take it out of the box. I want to get my first impressions. I want to get videos up so that people are watching those videos. And so I just kind of got cold feet, and I went to the Verizon store, and I got myself another iPhone. So I ended up with two iPhones, one that I had paid for and one that I put on a plan. And I ended up selling the one that I paid for on eBay, and then getting totally jacked. I got scammed on eBay. Between eBay and PayPal, there was like a scam that was working at the time, and I got caught in that. I got videos about that. It's a couple of years back now, but videos on my whole process of getting scammed, and then trying to get my money back, and then finally, thankfully, getting my money back after that. Viper's gonna. So are you just gonna live stream all day waiting for the truck, Viper, or will you have some way of knowing that the truck is on its way? That's the big question. Michael Brown asks, are reviewers saying the Pro cameras are as good as the Pixel 3? I have not dug deep into the articles yet, but what I'm seeing in terms of headlines and first paragraphs and that kind of thing is that people are saying the Pro phones are now the best smartphone cameras, period. So I'm sure that we'll see Pixel comparisons coming up here in the next however long. But really the Pixel 4 is the one that we want to compare it to anyway, because the Pixel 3 is the old phone. But yeah, so I think that right now people are saying it's the best camera phone, period. Phone, camera, phone. I sound like I'm like the 90s. Yeah, I can never track my FedEx people as closely as that. So, anyway, Viper, I want you to go out into your neighborhood and like try and find the FedEx truck. That's what I want you to do. Go out, try and find the FedEx truck, and follow him around until he'll give you your iPhone. That's what I want you to do. Dextease asks, I know you have to review all phones, but at the end of the day, are you Team Apple or Team Android? I think that most people know, and I've finally admitted to myself that I'm Team Apple, although, I don't want to be too down on one side or the other, but at the same time, yeah. I end up going back to Apple because Apple's what I've used for the longest time. Apple works for my workflow. So yeah, that's it. Be careful about those camera reviews of the Pro Max, comparing with the Pixel 4s. That were leaked in Vietnam, because yeah, I wouldn't look at any camera comparison of a Pixel 4 that was leaked and not and not take it with a grain of salt. Zane, I love the Note phones. I love the Note phones. I've had every Note except for the Note 5. But I find myself using Apple products more often in my day-to-day life. It's just how it is. I can't fight it anymore. I can't fight it anymore. That's just the way it is. Gosh darn it. Anyway. What stream would you watch, Skip Topher? That's the Onion Head. It's not bad advice. Wouldn't you want to see Viper chasing the FedEx truck around his neighborhood? Who wouldn't tune in for that? Right? Who wouldn't tune in to watch Viper, the captain of Team Apple, chasing FedEx through the streets of Chicago to get his phone? I mean, for me, that's YouTube gold right there. That's like Casey Neistat's snowboarding through New York City. Well, I'm getting a phone call. I hung up on him. Anyway, Viper, you think I'm joking? I'm serious. I want you out in the streets, like live streaming your journey toward iPhone. Um, the Baron here. We go through this cycle every year. Get the videos about on new cameras until Google drops their new cameras. Yeah, but see. Here's the thing. I said this in a couple of videos, and I'm going to say it again here. iPhones used to be like the bee's knees, the camera phone, the phone camera that could not be touched for many years. Well, not many years, but for a long time. And Android slowly caught up, and in some cases now, as in the Pixel, and you can argue about other phones, has surpassed Apple in terms of photograph taking. Apple is still the best when it comes to video, but for photograph taking, the Pixel has been the benchmark for 3 years now. My my hope in terms of just making the conversation more interesting is that the iPhone this year, particularly the Pro models, will make Apple very much a part of that best camera conversation again. The cameras have never been bad, but they just haven't. The Pixel and has sort of become the de facto. Everybody says it's the best. It's the best camera. Um, to the point where I'm not even sure if that's. I think people just say it now, but do we do we believe what we say all the time? I'm not sure. Um, so Michael Brown says the sum of the parts are what makes Apple the best. I'm reluctant to use words like best, but I see what you're saying. It's like um, when you're talking about rock bands, like any one member of the rock band might not be the greatest musician in the world, but when you put them all together and they all play and sort of make up for for each other's deficiencies, then they become greater than the sum of their parts. And I think the Apple product line lends itself to being able to make that same claim. How's that? How's that? Is that diplomatic enough for you? Is that diplomatic? I think so. Um, Zane Miracle says Apple is all for one, and Apple is one for all, Android is all for one. Or is it reversed? Like, I think the thing about Android is like they want to make the argument that you could take a Note 10 Plus, and this could be generally your only device, right? The device that is the center of your existence, Dex and everything like that. Whereas Apple wants to talk about the 10s or any of the new phones or the 10R or whatever. They want to. This is sort of like maybe the control center for a much larger ecosystem of stuff, all the way from using this and then airdropping to your MacBook, or using this and controlling it with your Apple TV with it, any number of things like that. So I think philosophically they're just different, and for a long time the conversation for a long for a long time the conversation has not been about how they're fundamentally different. The conversation has been about which is better, and I think that's at this point that's a conversation that's really not worth having. The Android versus iOS, which one is better conversation is boring. It's been played out for years and years and years at this point. Um, I'm more interested in like the conversation about Android versus iOS in terms of how it works best for the individual in their lives and why. And why. That's a question that I think we could have a good conversation about. But it's very difficult to have nuanced, non-black and white conversations about stuff like that on social media, on YouTube. People are very territorial. People are very tribal. People want to feel good about the things that they are saying, and or they want to feel good about the products that they have purchased, and so they become very tribal about it, and it becomes that black and white, 1-0, better, worse, sort of thing. It works with sports teams because sports teams actually play a game in which they can be uh, objectively measured as better or worse. I mean, if a football team plays another football team and that football team wins, then you can say that at that moment at least that football team was better than the other football team, right? But if you compare an Android phone and an iPhone, you can't say like, well, they're in a game and there are certain scores. It's not a real good measure. That's why I'm down on speed tests. I'm down on camera tests. I'm down on all that stuff because it's not really a scientific measure. It's not really a good way to talk about that, to talk about how the phones are different. Anyway, Jim Wallace is in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is about 4 hours away from me. I drive through Indianapolis every time I go to every time I go home to West Virginia. I take 74, go all the way through Indianapolis, and yeah, then back up north. Yeah. So, what else are we gonna talk about? I'll talk for another 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee and something to eat because I didn't eat, and then I'm gonna take my walk. I'm gonna take my walk like a good old man should, right? Close my rings. Um, Thank you, Bright Horizon. Thank you, Bright Horizon. I appreciate it. Um, so the hitchhiker says the midnight green iPhone 11. Or are you talking about the iPhone 11 green, the pastelly one, or the mint one, or the Pro? Because I think the Pro is the best color that we've seen so far this year. I mean, can we call the Aura Glow that Samsung used for the Note 10 a color? I don't think we can really call it a color because it's way too prismatic to be a color. It's not really a color. It's many colors. Um, so you like the mint green. That's cool. You know, YMMV as they say. There's no accounting for taste, and you are perfectly willing to. You're perfectly within your rights to make that claim. Adolfo Villa, do you use any time management apps? I have. I have tried to use time management apps. I have failed in trying to use them. Uh, I really one thing that I do when I'm doing a task that is very specifically like I need to do it for a certain length of time and not it's not procedural. Like yesterday I started writing again and I wrote for I did free writing kind of journal keeping for like 10 minutes and then I wrote for 20 minutes. And that was my writing day. Actually, it went beyond 20 minutes. It went more to like 30, 40 minutes. But that's how I use time. Like the Pomodoro 20-minute kind of thing is what I do when I'm writing or I have something like that. In terms of managing my day from beginning to end, I'm not very good at time management that way. And I need to get better. That's why I'm going to use some stuff from Skillshare, a recent sponsor of the channel, but they gave me a 3 months worth of membership, and I'm gonna really dig deep into time management stuff on Skillshare. No link in the description down below, but they are a solid service. I would not have had them sponsor me if I did not think so. Anyway, um, JC Smith says, I read somewhere that the multi-lens function, this is for the Pro and Pro Max, I'm guessing, will be backward compatible to the 10R, 10S, 10S Max. I also saw that. I don't know if it means like all of those multicam features are going to be available, but if that's the case, then 10S Max, then, last year's phone owners rejoice. Um, Sazu asks, does the new Apple iPhone 11 Pro Max really have better glass on the front and the back? Shatterproof? No, it's not shatterproof. I don't think there's no such thing as shatterproof glass. Like unless you like have that sort of reinforced. No, there's no such thing as shatterproof glass. I think this is like, I think if it's like other phones, Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, Gorilla Glass 6 on the back. There are varying levels of hardness that these things can have. I have a friend who works at at Corning, and has told me generally about like the way that they, like the thought process of how Corning is developing these glass products. But but no, I mean, I'm sure that it's just a matter of how you drop the phone. It doesn't matter from how high. It doesn't matter from, whether or not you have a case on it or anything like that. If you drop the phone and it hits on the wrong angle, it is going to break. That's that's all there is to it. It's a glass phone. I wanted to see this year, if we're going to have an iPhone Pro, I wanted to see something like a thicker version of the iPad Pros, um, and just be something a little bit more heavy duty to begin with. But that's not what we got. Banks Lim asks, uh, Samsung Note 10, not the Plus model. Is it worth it? Uh, I mean, I really don't think that the Note 10 brings. I mean, it's lacking a bunch of features that make the Note the Note. However, if that's the phone that you can afford, or if you prefer that smaller size, if it's better for you, then I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. I just think that like this year the naming scheme of the Note phones was a little bit weird. They should have called the Note 10 like, the Note 10e, and they should have called the Note 10 Plus the Note 10, because the Note 10 Plus is really what the Note phone is supposed to be, and the Note 10 that this year is like sort of a not dumbed down, but just sort of somewhat lesser version of what we have. Christian, thank you. Morning streaming, always fun. I can't. What am I talking about? I can't say that morning streaming is always fun because I just did it for the first time right now, but I'm having fun, I think. Yeah, and I'll be back tonight, Painfully Honest Tech podcast with my buddy Zach. We'll be talking about whatever happens today, and and probably some of what I've already talked about here. 7 p.m. Central Time, we'll be doing that. CJ Knows Tech is in the house. Good morning, CJ. It's good to see you. Yeah. So I am going to start wrapping up now that I've been doing this for an hour and a half. The sun is up. The sky is blue. Neutered Note 10 Plus. Yeah, that might be the. Well, it's not even a neutered Note 10 Plus. It's a neutered Note phone. It's a 6.3-inch screen. It's not that great. Amy, no problem. Thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. There are clear cases. Are you talking about Zane? Are you talking about for the iPhones? Yes, they have clear cases this year for all models. Apple official cases for all models, like I've got here for the 10R. And the thing that I like about the official cases from Apple is, unlike other secondary brands, this has not turned yellow yet, and I've had it since October, so that's a good thing. So I'm getting the LG Stylo 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S5 Active. Okay, yeah, cool. Yes, Michael, thank you. It's beautiful, and so are you, dear Prudence. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. Should I leave this up for people to watch throughout the morning? What do you think? Or will it destroy my channel? I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'll leave this up for a while for people to watch. Otherwise, maybe I'll come back and do this a few times a week. It's been kind of fun, and it's a way to get my day started so that my brain is actually working before, say, like 10 a.m. This is a silicone. This is a silicone, but it's a very hard silicone. So, anyway, thank you guys, all of you, so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. It's very awesome to see you all in the morning. I'm glad that we're able to spend this time together. We'll see what the rest of the day brings us, and we'll be back tonight with the Painfully Honest Tech podcast at 7 p.m. Central Time. If you want to hit me on the Twitter, it's Jason T. Lewis, PhD. If you want to find me on the Instagram, it's also Jason Just look up Painfully Honest Tech. I can't remember what it is. I did bad things when I tried to figure out my social media handles. But anyway, come find me. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I don't know how you got here. But if you want to subscribe, if you feel like maybe you've been around for a while, you want to join and get the perks of being a member of the channel, you can do that down below this video screen. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. Although I stopped saying that. My name is Jason. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out.